All right, what's up, everybody? Every Friday, 9 o'clock, we are here to mastermind with some of the most successful people in the mortgage industry. More times than not, it is an operator, someone that is doing loans, is leading loan officers. Sometimes it is an author or someone we just think it's exactly what the industry needs to hear. Speaking of exactly what the industry needs to hear, Todd and Deborah are going to be interviewing the one and only Phil Jones, the author of Exactly What to Say. Todd, what day next week is that?
It's on Tuesday next week. And I had to expand up my Zoom webinar so we could fit all you on there. And really, we're going to be debating. And this is loan officer focused. We're not talking to realtors. We're talking to all of you, all of our community, of how we can be a better value and exactly what we should be saying with our clients and with our realtors around what's going on. And Deborah and I spent about an hour the other evening on the phone with him, and he's got some really interesting ideas. I think most people know of Phil as the guy who knows what to say, but he's really a brilliant business mind.
Yeah, no, he is very impressive. We've got a couple recent interviews this year in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. Exactly what to say this year and how to say it. So check that out. Before we bring on our special guest, Deborah, anything you want to say to frame the call?
I am putting that RSVP link in the chat right now. And guys, first come, first serve. So make sure you save your seat. It is going to be loan officer focused. So I've been getting a lot of questions about, should you send this to your real estate agents? And I think, Todd, we could both agree. I would attend as the loan officer and get your entire company and team on, and then take it and use that to then go to your agent partner. So that's it. And happy morning.
All right. So here, let me frame the call. So last Thursday was the biggest mastermind of the year in the mortgage industry. We had 13 mortgage badasses. Shant was invited to be one of those badasses, but he couldn't make the travel, so he wasn't there. But we also had 5 real estate badasses. Actually, John Chiplak wasn't able to make the trip, but he's going to record a video. And sometime next week, not only will we have the entire show in there, but we'll have every speaker. And Todd, I don't think a single speaker went over 15 minutes, right? Like everybody.
Well, a couple of them went over slightly, very slightly, but no, it's pretty tight.
It was pretty tight. Like, and if they did go over, we're talking a minute. So there's going to be 18 plus Mr. Chiplak, and who knows, we may have other surprise guests come out, but we're gonna have 19 15-minute presentations from some of the top industry leaders on what they think is most important to share with the mortgage industry and the real estate industry. We also had, it was 4,065 people viewing that live virtually. So, I mean, it was a really big event with a tremendous amount of impact. My 2 words this year are obsessed with impact. And so it was a great day to be obsessed with impact. Today, we have the #1 loan officer in America, Shant Banosian. I interviewed Shant about a little over a week ago, and it was like, hey, Shant, what are you doing during this NAR settlement transition? Like, what are you doing to win? We'll probably cover some of the stuff that we talked about then, just because success principles don't change a whole lot. There's principles. But this is what is it, 55 minutes now, mastermind session. Let's give a big welcome to Shant. I want to remind people in Zoom, you got these little reactions. So if you want to give them a little applause, feel free to use those reactions. I can tell you speakers like that kind of thing. And also, if you have questions, put them in Zoom. Like, the more this is a freestyle conversation and we're getting questions from you guys, the better. So Shant, welcome, brother.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure hanging out with this crew. We've had some great times together in person on these calls, and always gotten some good feedback. And I dig it. This is fun for me. So it's a great way to wrap up a really great week.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing before we kick it off. I know you're gonna be speaking at the Mastermind Summit in Las Vegas in June, and I know from firsthand experience that you say no to speaking opportunities more than you say yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And by the way, I mean, that's a real compliment to you. And I find that to be the case with most incredibly successful people. Because trust me, guys, I've asked Shant to jump on stage with me more times, and he said yes a lot, but he's also said no a lot and all for good reasons. Why did you say yes this year to speak at that event?
You know, the so one, because you asked me and you're a good friend of mine, and you know, I know it was important to you. But really because I remember going to some of those events, you know, as a like newer loan officer, and like really taking a lot away from it, from really impactful speakers. And some of the speakers are the same people that are involved in this event. And I just remember myself being at those places 10 or 12 years ago, and like I feel like you know, I really, it's fulfilling to me to be able to give back. It's fulfilling to me to be able to kind of do it in a, you know, in a place like that where, you know, there's a lot of people trying to figure out how to navigate this market. Some people are having massive success. Other people are trying to figure out if they're going to keep doing it and how they're going to do it. So if I can be of impact to either one of those people, I think it's cool. And, you know, I've done a lot of events over the last couple of years where I've spoken in front of like real estate agents, and the audience of which I'm trying to, you know, obviously earn their business and stand out there. But I haven't done a lot of loan officer facing stuff in the mortgage world. So I decided, and I've really kind of pulled back from doing events this year because it's like, to me, it's game time. And I'm really trying to focus on my team, my business, and my partners and my clients. And so I want to be really, really kind of picky and choosy in terms of where I am speaking. And so I thought it'd be really cool to try to impact, you know, my community and my people in the event that I am doing this year.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying yes. And
Yes.
you said yes before the NAR settlement hit. But you know, the industry needs you on stages. It brings a lot of value. And I think now that NAR settlement has hit, you know, the industry needs leaders like you more than ever. So thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, of course.
If
Thanks
you
for asking
guys,
me.
yeah, no, of course. And if anyone has not either signed up for that or you don't know about it, you know, go to Mastermind Summit. We'll put a link down below. You know, we are a community, and I would love to have a lot of people from this Trust Engine Mortgage Coach community at that event. It'd be fun to have kind of a community within the community there. So let us know if you sign up. So Shant, let's kick off the first question. Well, actually, before I ask the first question, why don't you just tell, you know, how you're doing this year, what kind of production goals you have for the year, and how things are going. And then I'll hit the first question.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm incredibly proud of like how we're doing this year. You know, we just had one of the best months we've had in a very long time. You know, like to give you an idea, we locked about you know, about almost $100 million in new volume just in the month of March. April starting off very, very great. You know, we closed just about I think like just over 60 million in March, and like I said, put in about $100 million in new business. So it's going awesome. You know, we kicked off the year with an event that was probably one of the best things I've ever done. We had over almost 1,200 realtors attend our kickoff event in January. It was the second time we've done it. It's my Accelerate event. My team and I put on for our partners in this market for free for them. We had 3 amazing speakers that lit the place up, and the vibe and the energy was great. And the momentum that we've had since that event has been great. We're actually very, like, we're quick to pivot, and kind of, we're always trying to figure out how we can add value to our partners. So we're actually having another event this Thursday that we put together 2 weeks ago. We have 250 realtors signed up. We sold out the event in one day. And we are just, it's literally like how to navigate the NAR settlement. And it's all about, you know, we brought in a great sales trainer that's going to coach them through how to communicate your value proposition, how to communicate a buyer agency contract, the right mindset. We're going to have a question and answer sessions with some, you know, some really great real estate agents that are having success and, you know, running right towards this stuff, and just kind of making sure that, you know, we're doing everything we can for our partners because they do so much for us. And in between those 2 big events, we've been with our partners pretty much every single day, in person, over Zooms, at their events, at our events, just, you know, educating them and giving them information about the market, because the more knowledge they have, the more confident they are. The more confident they are, better they do, the better they do, the better we do.
Guys, we could just stop right there, unpack the last 3 to 5 minutes. I mean, that's how you win in this market. And then make sure you make note of the agenda that he laid out for his event, because that, while not everybody on this call is going to do an event at the scale and size that Shant's going to do, but you could do that with like 12 loan officers, or excuse me, 12 realtors in your market. You could take that agenda that he laid out, those questions that he had, and you could go out and do a lunch, mastermind with a bunch of realtors and just make that the agenda. So pure gold from the
Yeah.
#1 loan officer in America. So Shant, here's the question, how we're going to kick it off. Around the headline of the presentation today is like, what does it take to win in this market? Like, how would you answer that?
Yeah, I mean, it takes everything you have right now, right? Like this is one of those years where like it's a career changing, game changing year in terms of like, and so was last year, by the way, in terms of like, how you show up during really, really difficult markets is where all the payoff happens. Like I really believe, and I've said this before, Dave, on these calls, like all the growth and opportunity happens during the most challenging times when there's the most obstacles. Because not everybody shows up during those times, so the people that do really get rewarded. So I'm more dialed in than I've ever been. I'm working as hard as I've worked. I'm more efficient, and I'm more into just like literally all I think about is how can we help our clients and how can we help our partners. So like how we approach the business always has been, what are the obstacles and challenges our clients and partners are facing, right? And how can we be the solution to that? Like literally, it's that simple, right? If you're thinking about how to have a meeting, if you want to have a mastermind, what are the obstacles and challenges your partners are facing? What are the obstacles and challenges your clients are facing? Be the solution. If you're trying to come up with content for your social media, what are the obstacles and challenges your clients are facing? And what are the obstacles and challenges your partners are facing? And just come up with the solutions. Like, so it can, if you're trying to come up with email content, there you go. Like and sometimes, if you don't know the answers, you can ask, right? People are going to want to talk about it. Ultimately, in my opinion, it's a couple things. It's affordability is a major challenge, right? So home prices are at all-time highs and interest rates are elevated. So, and people's budgets are strained because like inflation's real and, spending's out of control and savings are going down. So like, there's that. If you're if your partners, their two challenges right now, how to navigate this NAR settlement and how to increase their conversion because inventory is low, demand's really high. It's hard to put deals together, right? So like, how can you help be a great partner for all those people? And all our content revolves around all those things. But, the one thing I've said, and I've said this for 3 years, and I think I've lived it, breathed it every single day, is one of the reasons that I'm successful is because I stick to the basics. Like we talk about getting back to the basics all the time. Like we never got away from the basics. The basics are the basics because they work, right? And so like all the things that you did, and granted, there's a big audience on this call, but all the things that you've done to create a successful business are the things that you should still be doing now, right? Like, and unfortunately, what happens is people get busy and they come up with every excuse as to why they shouldn't be doing those things. And then, you start cutting corners, and then all of a sudden you've gotten so far away from what made it work. And some people are unwilling to go back to the things they did to make themselves successful. I'm not. Like, I just want to remain successful. So if that's like the answers to the test, I'm focused on business development, branding, relationship building, and I'm doing all the things. So obviously, I talked about having big events, but I didn't start out having 1,000-person events or 250-person events, right? But like, because every single event I did, whether it was 5 people, 2 people, 3 people. Oh, and by the way, I did a first-time homebuyer seminar with one of my partners last week, and 4 people showed up, right? And like, it was great. Like, I couldn't have had a better time with those 4 people that were interested, and my partner who put the event together, and we got to spend some really quality time, right? So like, it's not like, I'm talking about like the really impactful things, but like I'm having 2 and 3 person one-on-one meetings. Like I'm really like relationship branding and business development and marketing, right? It's never been easier in this business to market yourself. There's never been a time in history where you can cast such a wide net for such almost nothing, right? Like you just have to put the effort in, right? Like I didn't have social media when I first started my like business really. Like, you know, obviously it kind of got going in the middle of it and helped me accelerate it. But like, you know, you can reach, and it's the technology allows you to, there's technology out there that I, you know, before I would just try to meet with everybody. Now I can be really strategic in terms of like who I want to meet with and how much business they're doing and what kind of business they're doing. Like we can really kind of like be strategic in terms of the type of partners we target. When I first started, I was licensed in one state, Massachusetts. Now I'm licensed in all 50 states. You know, that didn't happen overnight. And like my licenses didn't fall out of the sky, right? Like that was like an effort that was put in a strategic initiative. So like, but going back to the basics, you know, like focus on, you know, literally like, you know, how much content do I have to post? How many, whether it's social, whether it's email, whether it's direct message, right? Whether it's how many calls do I need to make? Like pick up the phone, it still works. It's amazing. It's like probably the best tool we have, right? You know, like believe it or not, like we send out an email to my database almost every single day, right? We have almost a 50% open rate. My email database has over 20,000 real estate agents in and 80,000 clients, right? Consumers. And I'm getting that kind of, but you have to put your information into the CRM. If you don't, you're not doing the basics, right? Like you can't, you know, if, you know, so like calls, emails, texts, you know, that old school soliciting like partners, staying in touch with your existing partners, right? Like we do a really great job of like constantly making sure that our existing clients, we're in front of them. And like I said, we're doing masterminds, we're doing fun, like social networking events. We're doing a lot of one-on-ones because like that's like the core of this business is like you should be fighting to like really get in front of your partners and just like, you know, they got to like you, trust you, respect you, and also like take something away from there. Like you want them walking away from that meeting being like, wow, like I know why I work with that person. They're amazing. Like they are giving me knowledge, which increases my confidence. They're educating, right? I've talked about this in the past. Like I believe in two things. I try to lead with education and information, right? Like the core of everything I do is educate and inform. Education attracts. It attracts the right kind of clients. It attracts the right kind of partners, right? Like those are the kind of people that like I want to be attracted to me at this point. The people that are into that kind of information and knowledge, and information motivates. And why does information motivate? Because of the things that I started out with at the beginning of this call. Affordability is a challenge, and winning and converting on real estate is a challenge, right? So how can I inform them into action? How can I motivate them to make tough decisions instead of freezing and backing out of the market, right? How can I get them prepared, confident, empowered, my clients and my partners, with all the different tools, right, that we have access to, right? You know, and a big part of it is all the stuff that we work with you on too, Dave, right? Is like, how can we nail them or nail it and provide them everything they need to go out and make decisions. So they're not stressed out and anxious, that they're confident and empowered. And then if they're that, they're winning. So I know I just rambled for a while, but like, that's what we're leading with right now. And those to me are the basics. And the basics are really important right now.
So, hey, Shant, I love the idea of the basics, and I agree with you. The people who stop doing the basics to chase the shiny objects are the ones who are behind today. And I still find that loan officers tell me they want to do those things and be successful, but they're not doing them. So what are the basics that you're coaching your team members through every day? And then how are you coaching them through eliminating the distractions so they can accomplish those basics before they worry about the rest of the stuff?
Yeah, you know, simple stuff like, you know, like literally like how many calls do we have to make on a day to our, you know, and obviously there's two different parts of the business. There's the client piece, right? And then like the consumer that's actually buying a house, and there's the partner piece. So it's like, that's a tough question, you know, you know, it's monitoring, like having actual accountabilities to whether it's how many calls are you going to make to your, for example, if it's a lead, you know, like a new introduction, how many emails, texts, calls are we having out to those clients? What's the speed to lead? What's the expected conversion rate? How are we getting them to our CRM so we can put them into a drip campaign? If it's you know, if it's from a business development standpoint, like how many phone calls do we have to make over the course of a week to our partners? How many meetings we have to have? How many team events do we have to have? you know, stuff like that, right? Like very basic things. You know, we're also tracking everything from leads to apps to closings to conversion from, you know, from lead to app to lock to fund. You know, we're tracking net promoter score. We're tracking operationally, like things like our average clear to close time. You know, we're tracking how many reviews we're getting on a weekly basis. We're tracking, you know, how many videos we're posting, how many email blasts we're sending out, you know, like social posts, like those. To me, like, we have very detailed metrics around all of the basic things that, like, on a weekly basis, that we have goals for, that we're either hitting or we're not. And if we're hitting it, great. Let's keep doing all the things that are winning. If we're not hitting those fundamentals, then we have to figure out what's causing us not to hit those numbers and what can we change in order to start hitting those numbers. Like, for example, if my expectation is to make 100 calls every single week to our real estate partners, as an example, and that we're coming up at 70, well, what happened? Like, why did we not get to 100? Like, was it effort, or was it like organization? Was it like, or is it just like a matter of like, is it like, did you come up with some BS goal and you're not really like, you know, you're not really serious about hitting your numbers? Like, is it a motivation thing?
What if
I
they
can tell you-
say they're scared to make the call because they don't know what to say? They're just
Well,
scared.
so
So
that-
they don't make calls.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a training issue, right? Because that means you're not doing any training and coaching. You're not doing a good job as a leader, communicating your value proposition to your team.
What's up,
And
everybody?
because
Hey,
then
Simon.
you're
Keep it efficient.
I'm getting static background from somewhere. Is that me? Oh, anyways. So all good. So ultimately, like, we spend a lot of time coaching our value proposition, both to internally team members on the, like, loan side and also on the business development side. So, you know, I've talked a lot about, and this is kind of a little nugget, hopefully everybody takes away from it. You know, we have two decisions to make in this mortgage business right now. You can either be differentiated, right? Or you can be commoditized. If you're differentiated, right, that's a value-driven decision that a client has to make. They're going to think different. You're going to be more referable to them. If you have a true value proposition that you can articulate every single time, and everybody does business a little bit differently, so you got to make it near and dear to you, right? Or you can be commoditized, and you can have the whole, decision be based on price only, right? And that's a race to the bottom, right? And that never is going to work. And, you know, bottom line, our clients are trying to commoditize us every single day. They have for the last 20 years. They're going to for the next 20 years. Every single person leads with an email that says, I want to get pre-approved. What's your rate? Or they call me and say, hey, what's your rate? You know, like, everything always starts with, like, what's your rate, right? And, like, if you just let it go down that road and you just allow it to become a price-driven conversation, then you're never going to have the kind of success because you don't become referable at that point. They don't even remember you. Whereas, like, if you offer, like, so where I'm going with this, it was a great question, Deborah, was like, you know, you've got to train your staff, right? Like, you can't just, like, be like, hey, you're hired, good luck, like, make these calls. Like, you've got to have meetings, you've got to have training, you've got to be on the same page. Like, we just had a meeting this morning about, like, hey, like, what are we articulating? Like, you know, our big thing right now is win together, right? Like, win with my team internally, win with my partners, and win with my clients. Like, I want to figure out a way for everybody to win. And so, like, underneath that, we're coaching through all the different things that we can offer our partners, our clients, and our team, how everybody can win. And if everybody's winning, guess what happens? Culture amongst our partners is great. Culture amongst our clients, they're referring us, and my team's happy. So the answer to your question is, you do have to do a lot of training. Dave and I have talked about that before in the past. Like, we do a lot of training with the team. And because I want, whether somebody's talking to me or one of my team members, whether it's in sales, business development, marketing, operations, like, I want us all kind of delivering the same message. Now, everybody's going to communicate in their own personal way, but, like, I want everybody understanding the basic fundamentals about what we're all about.
Pure gold. We gotta let Dave unmute himself to ask his question.
Yeah, so we are almost at halftime. So Shant,
Okay.
think of this as like a football game, or since it's, you know, March Madness basketball, and we've got 4 quarters in this particular case. So we're almost at halftime. If you have questions, put them in chat. We'll make sure we get them. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll make sure we get those as well. You know, while I've gotten a lot of takeaways, I've taken a lot of notes. What I just put in chat is is a cornerstone takeaway from everything Shant just said. Stop selling loans, start selling your solutions to clients' biggest problems. You know, like so much of what he said fits under that North Star. The person that asked about, hey, what kind of content are you creating? Like it fits under that North Star. The person that asked the question about, you know, hey, what's your borrower consultation look like? It fits under that North Star. He's finding, we talk a lot about going beyond speed to lead and focusing on speed to need. Like he talked about his database, you know, how can we be predictive in our database and get to the consumer's need proactively? When we are talking to a customer, whether that's a prospect, a borrower, or a realtor, if we can get to their need and their problem, and we work hard and we're smart and we study and we watch podcasts like this, and you mastermind, like Shant is constantly masterminding with realtors. You know, he has become an absolute, you know, I don't know if the word's guru, if the word is expert. It's all come from being humble, curious, and meeting with people and listening to people, learning from people. Like that is, you know, I've interviewed him now 8 times. By the way, there is a Shant Banosian playlist in our YouTube channel. I've got.
I'm honored. I had no idea.
Yeah. There's I actually made it while we were talking just now because I'm like, you know what? I've interviewed this guy like 8 times. I go, we gotta actually make a playlist, you know, and you referenced like the first time I interviewed him, guys, my big takeaway from that was Shant is training like 4 to 5 days a week. He's training his team 4 to 5 times a week. So not only is he learning and has best practice, but he's constantly training his organization, and his organization is just growing, you know. And so Shant, we're at halftime, and I do think this is such a major pivot in housing right now with the NAR settlement coming down. Every realtor that's a buyer's agent is going to need to learn how to give a really process-driven presentation. They're going to have to negotiate their comp, and they're going to have to get a signed agreement. And while I hear in some states they're getting signed agreements, they're not negotiating their comp. And usually those signed agreements in those states are like when they're making an offer, or it's like an agreement at escrow. It's not like before you even show them a house, you're getting a signed agreement. So the real estate industry needs to pivot, and the lending industry needs to pivot. So walk us through, like you're going to share your best practices at this event, but you're going to be training your team, and you're going to be training or realtors. So I really want to hear your breakdown of how are you going to retrain your team, and what are your process to retrain your realtors to kill it in the market going forward?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, from a loan officer and team standpoint, you know, like we just have to change the way we communicate and the way we technically do our business in a few ways, in the sense that like at a high level, you know, like you have to be a master of communicating and understanding the guidelines of all the different loan products that you offer, and be able to articulate that to your partners in the form of like simple things like seller contributions, like what are allowable seller contributions in deals. You have to upfront do things like from an underwriting standpoint in terms of just like asking different questions in terms of verifying different loan to value guidelines to, because you can't, you know, quote unquote, like finance in the commissions, but there's changes in loan to values that you can make, that you can offer up as solutions to have somebody utilize their down payment differently and communicate the impact that has on things like interest rate or whether it impacts PMI. You're going to have to ask for buyer commission in certain cases if somebody's going to be paying that out of pocket. You know, you can't forget to qualify that as a part of cash to close, as an example, because we haven't been doing it that way for 20 plus years, right? So like the questions you have to ask, like, you know, what are you going to be paying out of pocket? In the past, it was down payment, closing costs. Now we can't forget about, at the time of pre-approval, like how are you going to navigate the buyer agency commission? You know, and how much do you think that will be? And we're going to have to help them calculate at the beginning, you know? So from the loan standpoint, like we just have to understand where we can kind of jump in and offer these types of different solutions. You know, I think the biggest challenge in this marketplace is going to be for first-time home buyers, right? So like we've got to get really great at all the different loan products that are out there for first-time home buyer programs, lower down payment solutions, understanding where all the discounts are for potential first-time home buyers, when you can jump in with grants and down payment assistance, if that is important now for some people. Like you've got to really kind of be just a better loan officer. Like you've got to have every single product at your disposal, and that's really important. Like you can't just kind of do business the same way it was done before because the business has changed. So those are some of the things internally that we're talking about at a high level inside. On the real estate side, like we're just kind of, I think I said this to you last week, but part of it is helping. The big part of everything we're doing and how to navigate our markets and how our real estate agents are navigating is like we've got to help them with their mindset, right? And like we've got to be optimistic. We've got to be the hope dealers, right? I think I talked about this last. I think I quoted Ryan Holiday, one of his books. Courage is Calling. He said you got to be a hope dealer and a fear slayer, right? And I think. I was at our Guaranteed Rate Presidents Club trip a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about that because, if you're a hope dealer, that attracts people. And like, so many people are living in fear right now. And if you're in fear, if you're uncertain, if you don't know how to do things, you're living in fear. And when you're living in fear, you're not at your best self. You're not at your best self for your family, for your clients, for anybody. And so like, we've got to kind of be the hope dealer that kind of leads them. So like, that's what I'm doing with this event. The reason I'm having this event is because I just want to run towards this. Like, I don't want to pretend like it's not happening. We have really 90 days to adapt, right? And if you wait for 90 days, like if you wait to figure this out for when it becomes the deal, right? You're already too late. Why not take the next 90 days? Like you wouldn't go, Caitlin Clark, right? She's playing tonight, big game. She didn't wait to prepare a game plan like tonight at like 7 p.m., right? She's been preparing for her whole life, right? Like she did something yesterday, last week, all that kind of stuff. And I hope, good luck to her. She's badass. Hope they win. But you can't just like figure it out while you're doing it. The best people are going to go all in and like understand the compliance, the legalities, the communications, get their scripting and their training down, right? Like if you go back, if you look at some of the best real estate agents on the planet right now, a lot of those people started in the business in 2007 and 2008, right? And there's a reason they're killing it right now, right? And same thing with the mortgage people. If you look at like the top 220, top 30, top 40, a lot of them were not those same people in 2007, 2008. Some of them were just getting in the business for the first time at that point. But you know what the difference was? They didn't care about what was going on, what they had lost, what changed, what was more difficult. They were just they were like, this is my playing field. Everybody's playing by the same rules. Whoever understands those rules and can articulate them the best to the clients is going to win. And obviously while adding really great execution and value, right? And so like that to me is the advice that I'm giving my partners is like, get your scripting down, get your training down, run towards the compliance and legality changes, and don't worry about all the things that that are different than the way they are. Like what was in the past is in the past. Like focus on the present and focus on the future. So those are some of the things. And it's, to me, my outlook on this, and whether it's mortgage or real estate, the professionalism game has just increased massively, right? And the people that can hone their skills, their training, and their communication are going to win. The game did become a little bit harder, right? Because before we were just selling, in my opinion, like a lot of them, were surviving just based on having access to real estate. Right now, it's going to be the people that are like really can clearly communicate their value proposition and how they can help people navigate this difficult housing market, how they can help them win, how they can help them walk away from certain deals that aren't good, how they can help them enter the housing market are going to be the people and the technology and the tools and the negotiating skills and the data and like everything that they bring to the table, like the people that communicate that the best, people are going to be absolutely willing to help them and work with them and pay them for that level of service.
So I put a quote in, the professionalism game has increased massively. And so I love that quote, and that is an absolute truth. And it's going to be more important that if you're a mortgage professional, just being able to close a loan on time and do a pre-approval, it's truly not enough. If a realtor, and by the way, the good news is you're going to get to the buyer sooner. Like they need to bring you to the buyer, and you need to be an extension of their sales process. You need to help them convert. and you need to help them optimize the value they bring. So being a mortgage coach who's, if it's a first-time home buyer who's doing a rep versus own and really showing families how to not only, buy a home and what you qualify for, but what that means from their wealth perspective over time. If it's a move-up buyer, that's got a 2%, 3%, or 4%, it's going to be more important that you help them visualize, hey, should you rent that out and move up? And what does that do to your wealth over 5 and 10 years? If it's, hey, you can't rent it out and you need to sell it, well, you need to be able to give them confidence that, you know what, you're moving up. And let me show you the appreciation rate on moving up over 5 or 10 years. So guys, it's time to game up. It's time to upgrade your skills. And of course, you're in the mortgage coach community. So I truly believe you need to be data-driven, predict, get to the consumer early, and you need to deliver a mortgage coach experience to that consumer. Todd, any direction you want to take it here? Any questions you want to have? Any things you want to make sure people wrote down from what you've heard?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the basics part is brilliant, and I could talk about that all day. And I remember last year, one of the conversations we had was around masterminds with realtors. And I think that that's a huge opportunity for loan officers. But again, they're scared of that. And you just talked about all you're really trying to figure out is how to overcome the challenges that they're running into. But can you kind of walk through maybe how you would coach one of your loan officers to reach out to a handful of realtors and get them in their conference room and have them, bring in sandwiches or whatever to really help sharpen each other?
Yeah, it's really not that difficult, right? Like so here's what I've found. The more challenging the market gets, truly we become way more important. And when I say we, I mean like whether you're a loan officer or a realtor, the clients and the realtors and our loan officers, everybody's starving for information right now, right? So like, if you're a loan officer, like what would it take for you to show up to a mastermind? Like what would you be hoping to get out of it, right? Like if somebody can get 3 takeaways, you don't have to be the presenter the whole time. You can just be the moderator, right? You can literally send out an email to your database of real estate agents or call your really closest partners and be like, hey, what are the biggest obstacles and challenges that you guys are facing right now? Get 3 of those, right? Write them down and be like, that's your agenda. Hey guys. And then, obviously find out what the answers to those are, or just even have people like, go around and talk about them. Half the time we do our masterminds, obviously we have an agenda and we try to present, but a lot of it is like just putting people in a room together that are facing the same things and like throwing the ideas out there and then having people give their solutions. And it's great. Like, it's like, so generally speaking, we come in, we have 3 to 5 topics that we're going to cover. We usually end up getting 3 because like everybody's really into it. We try to put people that are in similar type roles. So like a lot of times we'll do a mastermind, we'll have it with team leaders or broker owners or buyer agents or listing agents, right? And a lot of times we do them in different markets. Sometimes we do it with groups of friends that are like very close. And then we just go like, here's a topic, and if, sometimes you can even come with no agenda and just say, hey, here's everybody come up with one obstacle they're facing right now. They're going to want to talk about, and then we'll just mastermind it. And everybody gives them feedback on how they're handling it. And it's amazing how well they go. So a lot of times it's just picking up the phone and send out the invites. The harder it gets, people are looking and starving for information. That's why our events keep selling out. That's why our masterminds are always full, because people are looking for answers right now. And if they can take something from a meeting like that, make it tangible and walk away from it and help themselves or help their clients, it's a win for them. And we've seen almost everybody that we invite to our masterminds come back for more. So if it's simple as like you going out and reading a book, you going out and doing some research and like, communicating. We've done that in the past. We've had some really impactful books that we've done like little downloads on. And like, so masterminds are not hard. Like, we came on here, we're masterminding right now, right? Like it's not like we have this like, we had this like pre-planned call and like had all this, we just got on and we're going, right? So like, and there's a lot of content that is coming out of it. So I think it's just knowing your audience. Generally speaking, I do it with a room full of people that I have relationships with, but we also invite people that we don't have relationships into that room because that's how you build new ones, right? And so, but you gotta, I would say if you've never done them before, start small, go 3 to 4, and as you get more and more comfortable, but you got to come with some sort of agenda, and you've got to do the work, whether it's reading a book, asking the questions, going out and getting some content. It's more accessible to get information. You could go on this YouTube channel. There's thousands of videos at this point that you could listen to and have an entire mastermind about almost any of them. about the topics that we've covered. So,
So-
you can start there.
So I do got to jump in because one, and I'll put a link down below. I wrote a LinkedIn article years ago about how to put on a mastermind. And so I'll put a link
There you
to
go.
that. I also want to, show you, I mean, not only can you use the Modern Mortgage Summit as a mastermind, we're hearing a lot of loan officers that are using that content as a base. But guys, here is the NAR settlement playlist. You can see Shant was 10 days ago. But I interviewed the #1 realtor in America. That video has been watched 33,000 times, and I'm going to be interviewing him, Jason, again next week. And so check that out. And then I put Shant's playlist. These are 7. Today will be the 8th time I've interviewed Shant. I'll bet you this interview where Todd and I mastermind with you and Ryan Serhant is going to be just as valuable today as it was 2 years ago. So tremendous amount of content. I also want to remind all the, this page right here, guys, I created this for producing branch managers. So if you want to turn your loan officers into data-driven mortgage coaches, like I made this page for you. So, not only is there a tremendous amount of out of the hundreds of interviews I did last year, these are the 6 that I would just say the cornerstone to winning. If you want to win with realtors, here's the 6 best. Do you want to improve conversion and reduce rate shopping? Here's the 3 best. If you're a manager and you want to turn your loan officers into data-driven mortgage coaches, here's the SVP of marketing for Daniel Saw's group. Daniel Saw became the #1 market leader in Columbus, Ohio last year. It's got 40 loan officers that are averaging 5 loans per loan officer. And this is how they did it. So, of course, if you scroll it down, there's training on how to use Mortgage Coach. You scroll down more, there's live training every day of the week so that we're helping you guys prepare. So
You just
we are
got to
going
do it,
in.
though. You just got to
Yeah,
do
right?
it. It's like, nothing I do is like rocket science, right? It's like, I'm a doer, right? So like when we were like, hey, we're going to have this event, I was like, rent a hall, a really cool spot. Great. Get a good speaker or 2, and then just invite a bunch of people, right? And then, I'll prepare my opening remarks and all that kind of stuff. But like, it's like, you just got to do it. Like, you don't have to be perfect. You're going to get better every single time. If your intention is good, people will keep coming back, right? And it will be of value. But like, sometimes we like try to make everything perfect, and like nothing we do is perfect, but it works out. You always just get better. But there's so many people that are like, I'm going to eventually do this. I'm going to eventually post videos. I'm going to eventually send emails. Like, you just got to start, because by the time you do it, the business has passed you by, and like your people, so you just got to do it.
So Shant, what'd you say, Todd?
No, go ahead. Jump in. Go.
What would you say to the loan officer who's listening to this and they may be thinking, yeah, but you have this big team. Like, how do I handle prospecting, juggling a CRM, fighting with processors and underwriters, now trying to host an event, now I'm a content creator. Like, how in the world do you fit it all in?
I mean, I could give like a much less PC answer, right? But like,
No, give us the much less.
No, I mean, you
PC
just got to do it, right? Like, it's not like my team, it's not like I started in the business with a team. Like, I was by myself for 10 years, right? Like, and so like, I probably should have even invested in a team earlier, but like, that's like what comes with the territory of being in business. Like, business is hard, right? Like, if you talk to any successful business person, any one of you guys, as you guys started your business, like, the first days are hard because it's all on you. It's always going to be all on you, right? And it's like, so you just got to be super disciplined. You've got to be willing to sacrifice, and you've got to be very organized, right? And start with the biggest impact stuff of the day. Like, your first 3 hours of the day should be impactful, revenue generating things. And then you just got to be like, and you're going to screw things up, and there's going to be some things that go wrong, but like, you've got to be mentally tough, right? Like, and you've just got to be disciplined, like disciplined, committed, consistent, over and over and over again. It will work. But like, there's a million loan officers out there that don't have a team, that are doing things, right? There's a lot of people that are going to win. There's a lot of people that are going to lose. Like, you just have to decide which side of that coin you're going to be on. But like, yeah, you can make a million excuses as to why I have what I have, but like, I've earned it, like and I still earn it every single day. And like, anybody knows me, like, I'm not working any less hard today because I have this team. I'm working more efficient, but like, I got here, like, it was a team of one for a very, very long time, and because of the success. So like, you just got to work organize, if put it this, if you're one person, I can tell if you're successful no matter what kind of business you have, whether you're a realtor, loan officer, doesn't matter what kind of sales you're in or anything else. If I look at your calendar, I can tell whether you're going to win just by looking at your calendar and what it has. And I can also tell if you're going to lose by looking at your calendar. So like, if you're serious about this as your profession and winning in this market, then just get super, super organized and stick to your plan. You can do
All
a
right,
lot
so
of stuff today.
I wasn't gonna cross pitch webinars, but I'm gonna throw in the link. I am hosting kind of a implementation and how to win by noon webinar, how to organize that first 3 hours that Shant is talking about and how to organize your week. So that's going to be next Thursday. So I'm going to dig it off of my Zoom. I'll throw it in there. You're all invited. So feel free to jump in on that.
Yeah, but I get all fired up about that because like I have a wife, I have 3 kids, I have other businesses, like I got a lot of stuff going on and I still get all my stuff done every day. The capacity that one has to get stuff done in a day is much larger than most people think. Right. And it's like, so if like you're serious about it, write down all the sales activities, marketing activity, business development activity, operational activity. And you can get a lot of stuff done in a day if you're disciplined and serious about it. Actually, like you can't lie to yourself. Like, are you really serious about making this happen? Or is it kind of like something you want to do?
So I'm going to throw out an idea that I have started implementing this year. I think I told everybody, and I've probably said it on every call, my theme of the year is obsessed with impact. How can I create as much impact one-to-one with someone and one-to-many with people? And I'm on fire. Like you guys have probably seen the heat, go to another level in terms of the videos that we're putting on our YouTube channel. But I've never been more obsessed with winning by noon, to the point, and Paul, my EA, is on here, every morning I get a voice message first thing in the morning from him. How many meetings do I have? And then I came up with a term this year, which is level 5 impact meetings. How many level 5 impact meetings do I have for the year? And he's like, you got this many meetings, you got this many level 5 impacts. He calls them out. And it's all about having level impact. And then we always do a bookend at the end of the day. We move that to noon. So at noon, he's like, it's a win by noon bookend. And I'm not even doing my end of the day bookend because I want to win by noon. I want to be kicked so much ass by noon that I already beat my competition. I already achieved my goals, and everything after that is just gravy. So I'm going to just throw out the challenge for everyone. Start your day. How many meetings do I have? How many level 5? Create your own definition around level 5, and then win by noon bookend. Let's not wait till the end of the day to win. Let's win by noon. And if you are not following winbynoon.com, follow winbynoon.com. If you are not part of the badass Win by Noon Facebook group, it is the second best Facebook group in the mortgage industry.
Whoa. Come on. Okay. Tie. I thought we had a tie, but that's all good.
Not first, you're last, buddy.
Yeah, we're partners, but we compete. And guys, let's kick some ass, man. Like I said from the stage at the Modern Mortgage Summit, I go, this room, we've got these 18 speakers. Everybody was in that room, paid $1,000. Many of the people traveled. There were very few people that drove to that event. Most of us stayed at the Cosmo. It was not a cheap place to go, both time and money. But I said from stage, this room can change the mortgage industry. Like if we create impact today from stage, if we take the messages from today and drive it with our teams when we leave, we can change the industry. And then my message to everyone on this, the mortgage industry can make massive impact in America. Like we can't solve the affordability crisis, but we can solve it for a lot of families. We can solve the financial literacy crisis. It's one of the reasons why, I'm so passionate about First Home IQ and getting more mortgage and real estate professionals to lean in to Gen Z, high school and college age kids. Make sure you guys check that out if you really want to optimize the impact in your local community and do more for, kids in high school and college, so that as people go through the institutional learning process in America, they actually learn about money and they actually, start thinking about home ownership. I also want to put a push to everyone that every family that's in your database, they've got kids and they've got grandkids who want to be homeowners. So it's also more important that you're messaging your database. And Sean, I don't know if you're doing this, but I highly recommend you really start leaning into, we got to help the next generation get into homeownership. Gen Z is huge, and boomers and Gen X have shit tons of equity. So let's leverage that equity to help the next generation get into homeownership. So we're at 9 minutes to go. Sean, is there anything you want to make sure comes out before we run out
Yeah.
of time in the last 9 minutes?
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I think, if there was some big, so we talked about, I really meant what I said, like right now, how you step up for your clients and partners during these times and putting yourself in their shoes and like really being that hope dealer. And like, you can really kind of like, when I said be the fear slayer, is like, it's with that education and informing, right? And it's like really kind of stepping up and just being better at your job. Like, you have to be the best professional loan officer we've ever been in terms of like the advice and guidance we have to really give. Then the piece is you got to do a really good job of communicating, being differentiated versus being commoditized. Because if you allow your commodity, it's over if you allow yourself to be commoditized, right? Like, you have to be differentiated. And lastly, you got to really look inward, and you got to work on yourself. Like, if you want to have capacity, like we were talking about, to be able to take on a massive day every single time, right? And just like really be able to sprint all day and win by noon and like do these things, like that only works if like you're optimized, like personally and professionally. And that works like if your mindset's right. Like, your mindset is everything. Like, there's so many excuses as to why we could be distracted in our business right now. We could talk about all the things we can't control, from, the Fed, interest rates, the economy, inventory, the NAR settlement, I could go on and on and on. But really the only thing you can control is like your activities and your actions, right? And so like, if you get your mindset right, how you're going to do those activities and actions, like somebody who's like taking care of themselves, working out, eating right, listening to positive content, surrounding themselves with winners and eliminating the negative people from their life, right? Like, getting coaching, getting mentoring, like, this is like free coaching, right? Like, you could just like log in and watch all those different videos, and like, you spend hours, if you spend an hour a day on this thing, like, you're going to be better, right? So like, it's like what you're like, the right podcasts and webinars, like really just kind of like making sure you're just feeding your brain with like just good stuff all the time. Then, you're controlling your thoughts, you're controlling your emotions, and then all of a sudden you're controlling your actions and activities, right? And so like, there's probably been a never more important time to like really just kind of like try to optimize yourself, right? And that's hard. But like, the same people that say like, I don't have time for that kind of stuff, I don't have time to work out, I don't have time to, listen to podcasts, but somehow you have time to like scroll on TikTok and Instagram for 2 hours, right? Like, it's like, it's really just important. And so like, I've really tried to make sure, like really in the last 4 or 5 years, like whenever I can get like the positive stuff, like reading, webinars, videos, coaching, mentoring, like I invest a ton of money and time in that stuff. And it really kind of impacts like how you show up during really challenging times, and like how we show up during those times. Like, everybody does well in the good times, right? But like, the people that like, you're really setting yourself up. Like, the one thing that's happened in our business, we've seen a lot of people exit the business, right? And so like, when this thing, like, one, there's plenty of business being done right now. Like, a lot of people are waiting for like, this like perfect market. Like, it's never gonna, the only thing that's going to be constant is like the change every year. And it's going to be a difficult thing that we got to figure out. But like, you're kind of going to set yourself up to like take advantage of every single market, right? And so I don't think I'd be doing as well. I had a great year last year. I had a great year the year before. We're going to have a great year this year. And I know we're going to have a great year next year, but it's because like, I'm doing the work, right? And like, I'm spending a lot of time working on myself, like, and it's really paying off, because like my energy levels are like through the roof, and like, I'm able to sprint 7 days a week. And there's a lot of people that I just like are totally down and out mentally. And like, like, how are they going to compete with me? How are they going to compete with like the one thing that's happened in this business? Again, a lot of people have left. Well, I look at it as, okay, now all the people I'm competing against are much better. Like, it's like some people like, oh, the people leaving the business, I'm going to do more. Well, every single time I'm up against somebody, generally I'm up against a pro. I'm up against some of the people that are on this call, right? And those are the people that really care what they're doing and like are getting better and using all the tools. So that means I got to step up my game in order to keep winning. And so I really think it's a really important time to like just like, really step up what you expect from yourself and actually do it. Because like that will totally help you professionally win, and it'll obviously help you personally as well. And when that balance is good, you're win at life.
So Sean, last year when I interviewed you in May, you had said that this book, The Gap in the Gain, which I literally multitasked and I ordered it during that interview.
Awesome.
It was my book of the year. I read it and I listened to it, and it really helped me. If there was one book, and it could be the same one, but everybody should like read, listen to the audiobook, go to school on, what is the one book this year that you would recommend to this audience from a mindset and leadership perspective?
From a mindset, the Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is a really good one in my opinion. I read that actually right after I read The Gap in the Gain last year. And it's so simple. I'm a huge Ryan Holiday fan. So The Obstacle is the Way, I think, is a really great one for right now, because not only will it help you within our business, but it will help you understand, what our partners, right? Our business, my business anyways, is, my partners are everything. They're the lifeblood of my business. So, they're the ones that like have been supporting us this entire time. So it allows me to kind of, understand where they are right now and navigating a challenging time. So we can also have some great talking points for them as well.
Guys, you heard it. Obstacles Away. He also picked one of my all-time favorite books. I actually wear a Marcus Aurelius pennant around my neck right now because it's game time, guys. Todd, any wrap-ups? Well, actually, let's give Deborah a quick close before you do the Win by Noon close. Deborah, anything you want to, tie a bow around this with?
I just want to say thank you for your time and pouring back into this community. I know you say no to a lot of things, and just to have you on twice in a couple weeks is a huge gift to all that's listening. For those of you who are listening, make sure you guys are following Shant so that you can continue to feed your mind and consume and micro learn instead of just, escape on social. And then last, we're going to have to do a separate webinar of your skincare routine because your skin's on point, buddy.
Dude, it's because the guy works out, man. I've been telling him every time
Whatever you're doing, it's working.
Years, yeah,
On point.
he works out and he's kicking ass and taking names.
You cold plunge? Please tell me no.
No, I do.
Not yet.
Not yet. I a lot of cryotherapy, but not the cold plunge. I gotta. That's on the next on the list. Infrared sauna though, a lot of infrared sauna.
Okay.
I don't think I could top the skincare. I can't top the skincare one, but
I'm almost blushing, Deb. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very nice.
I'll say a couple things. I think I've thought that too, probably, Shant, but the bottom line, it's such an easy thing to say. I say it often, is you have to go back and rewatch this, and you have to pick just the one thing that you want to start implementing next week, right? You can't not do it. And that could be getting back to the basics. Sean already said it, you shouldn't have left the basics behind. But I know a lot of you are struggling with picking up the phone and doing the calls. That's the first thing y'all need to be doing on a consistent basis. But just pick that one thing that you heard Shant say. And I just really want to, just give gratitude to you, Shant. I mean, it's, Shant talks about, you all respect him as a businessman, but he said you have to be a good human first. And, I've only met Shant once. We spent a couple days together. Dave was there, Jonathan Roach in the woods in Vermont. And, he and I had a time where we just hiked down a mountain. I don't know if it was, we talked for 15 minutes or we talked for an hour, 15 minutes, but it was super impactful on me. And we all just talked about his family, and he asked me about my family. It was a human conversation, right? And it was a great business opportunity for me to learn from him and pick his brain. But, life is about people and connecting. And that's a lot of what he talked about. You all need to connect better, maybe with the people around you, immediately around you, but I'm talking, let's connect better with the clients who need you. Let's connect better with the realtors who we serve, because if we can connect better with them, we can solve those problems and the obstacles that they have that Shant talked about, then that's how you're going to win. And then definitely work on this person here. So, as always, it's super grateful to have you here. Super excited to take action on some of the takeaways that I had, and just love you being part of this community. And as always, Dave, Deborah, Plug and Play SM, if you need social media, the Trust Engine crew, Win by Noon, anything we do to help the rest of the community or you and your team, Shant, let us know.
Cool. All right, guys. So
honored to be here.
Honor to have you, brother. And here's the closing thought. So we didn't get to all the questions. I know someone asked a really good question about, hey, what's your evening routine? What's your morning routine? I don't think Sean covered the evening routine in my first interview, but he did go through in previous interviews on his morning routine. But I could tell you this, it's a winning evening routine. It's a winning morning routine. Go back and listen to some of the last interviews. I want to push everyone, like, guys, let's win by noon. Like, as a mortgage industry, we can bring tremendous value to real estate agents if we're meeting with them, if we're providing leadership, if we're masterminding, and if we're winning by noon. So hope you got value today. Make sure you subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel if you don't already. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Shant.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
Take care, guys.